mountains of southwest China woke restless at dawn, and what began as a quiet summer morning turned into a nightmare of earth and stone. Between the 1st of August and 5th, 2025, Sichuan province and its neighboring regions were ravaged by a wave of catastrophic landslides, a calamity that unfolded with terrifying speed. Villages nestled among misty peaks stirred to the routine of daily life. Fires lit for breakfast, children laughing in the narrow lanes, farmers setting off toward their fields. But above them, the land was no longer steady. Days of relentless monsoon rains had seeped into the mountain's veins, softening soil, prying open cracks, and pushing rivers past their breaking points. The earth itself prepared to move. In Jinping village, the first tremors were not from the sky, but from deep below. Sichuan's a low vibration rumbled through the ground, swelling into a roar like an approaching freight train. Then the mountain broke loose. A torrent of mud, rock, and uprooted trees cascaded down with unstoppable force. 10 homes were buried in seconds. A factory crumpled under the weight of the falling slope. Families who had been together only moments before were ripped apart by the landslide's fury. By the time silence returned, one life was confirmed lost, dozens more were unaccounted for, and the survivors stood in shock, clawing through the suffocating debris with bare hands in search of loved ones. This was no isolated tragedy. Across Sichuan and beyond, nature's wrath echoed. In Guizhou, violent rains unleashed, chain slides that tore apart hillsides and severed vital transport routes. Entire communities were cut off, forcing hurried evacuations as rivers churned with mud. In Chongqing, swollen waterways spilled over their banks after slopes collapsed into them, drowning neighborhoods under thick brown floods. Even remote mountain hamlets found themselves trapped in a cruel silence as roads vanished under landslides and power lines snapped, plunging thousands into darkness and isolation. Experts warned grimly that the danger was far from over the earth, saturated like a sponge, could crumble again at any moment. Sichuan became the epicenter of a desperate rescue effort. Nearly 1,000 responders poured into the disaster zones. Firefighters in orange uniforms slogging through knee-deep sludge, medics carrying stretchers across unstable ground, armed police stabilizing cliffs that threatened to collapse further. Drones hovered overhead, scanning buried homes with life detection radars. Helicopters thundered through the storm-laden skies, dropping food, medicine, and survival gear to villages cut off by rivers of mud. Schools were transformed into shelters on high ground, their classrooms now crowded with families clutching the few belongings they managed to save. Relief centers distributed tents, rice, bottled water, and quilts to those who had lost everything overnight. Yet the need dwarfed the supply. Clean drinking water became precious. Medicine vanished quickly. Blankets, drenched by the unending rain, became a thin defense against the cold. The central government declared a national emergency, unlocking a relief fund of 80 million yuan to support reconstruction and immediate survival. Trucks rolled across highways that were barely holding together, their cargo loaded with rice sacks, surgical equipment, and emergency tools. Doctors from the National Health Commission were dispatched to hospitals now straining under the influx of the injured. Surgeons performed emergency operations around the clock. Intensive care wards filled with trauma victims, children pulled from collapsed houses, elderly villagers struggling with shock and hypothermia. And yet, beyond the official response, the pulse of resilience came from ordinary people. Strangers shared bread and blankets under makeshift tarps. Young volunteers, many just teenagers, dug with their hands through sodden wreckage, praying to hear a cry beneath the rubble. Nearby villages, poor themselves, sent cartons of baby food, handfuls of medicine, and bundles of clothes. On social media, campaigns spread rapidly, fundraising drives, awareness posts, words of solidarity. The message was clear: you are not forgotten. The damage stretched far beyond shattered homes. Agricultural fields that once promised harvests now lay buried beneath mountains of mud, extinguishing a season's worth of labor in a single night. Bridges that had connected families for generations were torn away by rivers turned into torrents. Roads, the arteries of commerce and community, simply disappeared into landslide rubble. Entire towns faced economic ruin, their livelihoods erased in hours. Meanwhile, meteorologists issued grave warnings. The rain had not ended. The mountains, still waterlogged, remained fragile and unstable. Each new storm threatened to trigger
这是
another
我们这
deadly
条河上
cascade.
的游
Families
船，
in
我的天
vulnerable
呐！
areas were urged to remain vigilant,
It's
ready to flee at a moment's notice. For many, sleep became impossible. The rumble of thunder carried not just the fear of lightning, but of the earth itself giving way again. Still, amid the destruction, there were glimmers of courage and hope. Parents, exhausted and hollow-eyed, comforted children whose dreams were haunted by the sound of collapsing hills. Relief workers expanded shelters and cleared blocked roads, carving pathways back into towns that had vanished from the map. Villages
Flooded
long
roads
cut
and
off
bridges
were slowly reconnected, their survivors embraced as if rescued from exile. Communities, bruised but unbroken, began piecing together fragments of normal life. As the storm clouds lingered over China's mountains, the people stood defiant against the small of natural disaster, it was a testament to human solidarity. Nature's fury tore down walls and drowned fields, but it also revealed the unshakable strength of compassion. Strangers became allies. Communities fused together in resilience. The ground may have shifted beneath their feet, but the spirit of unity held firm. This is the story of landslides and floods. Yes, but also of humanity's refusal to bow. A reminder that when the earth crumbles, it is the bonds between people, the hands extended in rescue, the food shared in hunger, the shelter offered in kindness that keep us standing. And even as the rain continues to fall, hope rises stronger than the storm. Nature reminds us that it gives life, but it can also take it away. The landslides in Sichuan and beyond showed both sides. Destruction that tore families apart, and resilience that brought strangers together. It's like watching the ground crumble beneath your feet, yet seeing human kindness rise taller than mountains. Tragedy and hope, hand in hand. Disasters strip us of comfort, but they also teach us. Always prepare, always stay alert. A simple kit with water, medicine, and a flashlight can make the difference when minutes matter. And maybe the greater lesson, never underestimate the strength of community. So, what do you think? Does disaster reveal more about nature's power or about us? Share your thoughts below. Leave comment number 1 if you're not sure what to write, but want to show you're here. Thanks for staying with me through this story. Your voice matters, and your support keeps us going. Everywhere. The disaster unfolded.